Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here on this Saturday night. I'm Galen Etlin. And we're going to talk about a story that I know bothers a lot of you. Graffiti in Northeast Portland is a big problem. It got worse during the pandemic, too, but now the city feels like it's getting a hold of it. Our Art Edwards explains how.
Just about everywhere you look in Northeast Portland along Weidler, you see buildings covered by graffiti. At times, you can see where it's been painted over and then tagged again. It seems like a never-ending battle to eliminate graffiti, and it got worse during the pandemic, according to the Office of Community and Civic Life, the office that handles graffiti removal.
Since COVID began, we did see an increase. We saw more than, at its height, we saw work requests increase by more than 300%.
Willie Miller has had to live through that. He's lived in Northeast Portland for 2 decades and has seen the graffiti problem get worse.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, they clean it up and then it's back the next day it's back there. I know my brother in Charlotte and down there where he lives, it's a cafe there, and the guy cleaned it up the next day. A couple of days later, it's back there again. It is. And like I say, they're just terrible, man.
The Office of Community and Civic Life uses its own staff and contractors to paint over graffiti. They need business owners to let them know of a problem. Then they can react. Things have started to stabilize, and they're getting a handle on the problem.
We actually are back to our normal response rates, which is an average of 3 to 5 business days, which is different from the year before, which was 3 weeks.
Miller knows the cleanup won't happen overnight, but he's hopeful.
We can do it. Yeah, we can be a clean city again, like we used to.
Art Edwards, KGW News.
A new agency tasked with investigating police in Washington is now in high gear, and the 2 people who will decide who leads it have very different backgrounds. Governor Jay Inslee will ultimately select the candidate from a short list, but those candidates will be picked by a police chief and a person whose son was killed by police. Tukwila Police Chief Eric Drever and Fred Thomas are leading the search for the director of the newly created Office of Independent Investigations. The state agency will examine every case when police kill someone.
There has been narrative out there about, well, it's just a few bad apples. And I know I'm stealing this quote from somebody, but, shouldn't we be the one profession where we have no bad apples?
The same lawmakers who established this new office say next year they want to give independent prosecutors authority to make charging decisions in deadly police incidents. Right now, the decision is made by county prosecutors. Back in Portland, police are investigating a death of a person who was found in the road. This was in the Powellhurst-Gilbert neighborhood. Officers responded just after midnight last night for a welfare check, and they found that person and called in the major crash team to investigate. Police are not saying much more about this case, but if you know anything, they do ask that you give them a call. 2 Portland officers, meanwhile, are recovering from getting hit by an alleged drunk driver overnight. Police were called to a 4-vehicle crash on I-84 around midnight last night, too. As tow trucks were clearing that scene, the officers were struck from behind by a Kia Soul. The officers were in some pain, but not seriously hurt, luckily. The driver was taken to the hospital, also not that hurt, and the driver faces DUI charges. A health official in southwestern Washington is worried about low vaccination rates for kids. And we're not just talking about COVID, we're also talking flu. Our Tim Gordon explains why now is the time for both vaccines.
The flu season is upon us, and so far it has been quiet in the Northwest. But experts expect when it hits, it will likely be big. They predict there could be as many as 600,000 hospitalizations in the U.S. this season, compared to an average season with 200,000.
That's why I'm here today, for me to make a plea for everybody to get the flu vaccine.
Dr. Alan Melnick is Public Health Director for Clark County and the health officer for other counties in southwest Washington as well. He is concerned that in Washington state, flu vaccinations are down 25% from this time last year for kids from 6 months to 5 years old. Why? The doctor can only make an educated guess. And yes, COVID-19 is part of the answer.
Overloaded the healthcare system. There may be fewer visits for it. Maybe the politics have something to do with it around, it's always been a struggle to get flu vaccination rates up.
But Melnick says it could be a particularly bad time to get the flu with other ailments out there, the coronavirus at the top of the list.
This is a time of year when other respiratory viruses begin to circulate, which is even more reason why anybody who's eligible for flu vaccine and anybody who's eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine should be vaccinated.
And because last flu season was super light, our immune systems may be more susceptible to getting it this year. So health professionals say if you've waited, wait no more and get the flu vaccine for you and your kids.
Flu vaccine is eligible for anybody over the age of 6 months. Everybody over the age of 6 months should get flu vaccine.
And Melnick says if you're eligible and haven't gotten vaccinated for the coronavirus, get that too, for yourself and your community. Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Let's lighten things up here. Snovana is back at the Oregon Convention Center this weekend, even though the mountains are not quite ready for winter sports yet. Snovana is combining forces with Ski Fest for their first event since 2019. It all showcases more than 90 activities and exhibits, plus a huge gear sale and ski swap. Now, while there are plenty of things to check out there, skiing will have to wait for right now. As I mentioned, neither Mount Hood Meadows nor Timberline Lodge have set opening dates yet. And Mount Bachelor in Bend had to push back its opening date since there wasn't enough snow.
Well, when you see what's going on up here at the mountain, it's pretty obvious that we're not ready to open for guests to ski and ride.
That would be a rough ski ride. Now, back in Portland, if you missed the first 2 days of Snovana, you still have a chance. It's open tomorrow from 11 to 4 o'clock, and you can buy tickets online or at the door. We've got a link on KGW.com.